Hello everyone, and welcome to the Knaut-Rhuland House Online. Today I will be reading from a script that gives a brief history of weaving, as well as the mechanics behind the operation of a loom. The information for this video was provided by Anne Morrison, our longtime volunteer and resident weaver at the Knaut-Rhuland House Museum. Handloom weaving is a craft thousands of years old, developed to produce clothing, baskets, and coverings for temporary living quarters, among other things. It was practiced throughout the ancient world, occupying a place of importance second only to that of agriculture. However, mechanical power weaving machines have gradually taken the place of human professional weavers ever since the Industrial Revolution of the 19th century. In modern day, handloom weaving is still practiced on a reasonably large scale, mainly by hobbyists and places with low industrialization. A loom is often mandatory for more complex patterns, like the one shown in this video. This pattern is called overshot because the weft yarn skips over some warp yarns to produce a unique pattern. This particular method of weaving was very popular for making coverlets for beds that could be found during the time period of the Knaut-Rhuland house, with low industrialization. The simplest weaving structure is a plain weave. Yarns such as wool, linen, or cotton are stretched over a simple rigid frame called the warp. Another yarn is then woven over and under the rigid warp at right angles. This sample has a linen warp and a woolen weft. This is called linsey-woolsey. In addition, there is a finer linen yarn woven between the wool weft in plain weave to keep the floats from moving around. A weaver can create patterns by manipulating a part of the loom called shafts. Each shaft is connected to a designated treadle and has an individual thread of the warp strung through its eye. Additionally, the shafts are held aloft by harnesses. So, by pushing down on a treadle, certain shafts will rise or fall, parting the warp in various ways. This allows for the weaver to create a distinct pattern dependent on the sequence in which they push down the treadles and throw the shuttle filled with weft across the gap between the warp threads. To show this in action, you first place pressure upon a treadle, then the shafts connected to it rise and thus part the warp in the desired way. When pressure is released, the treadle along with the connected shafts are lowered through the force of gravity and the warp is returned to its resting state. And there you have it. That's a brief history of weaving with a general description of how a loom works. I hope you've all enjoyed this episode of the Knaut-Rhuland House Online, and I would like to thoroughly thank Anne Morrison for providing all the information for this video, and for using the loom during the time-lapse of this video. That being said, please have a wonderful day, and I look forward to seeing you next time.